assessor also talked about how that alternate really should be at the meetings, especially the dates where they come to appeal and say their neighbor comes, somebody's neighbor comes in, and then the main members, not all of them can vote, and then that alternate is right there. So
Okay, so they'll come to the meetings.
that's what she suggested.
Okay.
So I don't know if in the past
Didn't we run that for like 3 weeks in the local paper?
we did. Yeah, I just keep it on the website. I guess it just doesn't hurt to have it on the website still. But
I did hear somebody was going to send you something today, so.
so we have possible
Possible
parties. Okay, that'd be great. Really could use volunteers here. And then we talked about it in the bills, but the site reviews are in process. We're at 136 out of 660. So they're making progress, still working on it. And then as far as the L4029, so I had gotten a copy back around our budget hearing. Do you guys have that final copy?
Yeah, comes from the assessor.
Okay, so you're waiting on her to give you that, and it's due September 30.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yep.
So maybe I'll just follow up with her and make sure the version I have is final, and we can get that to you. Events and meetings, past events, we had already mentioned that MCC board meeting at McKenna's. They invited me as a supervisor to. I went and watched their meeting, and they just pretty much asked if I had anything to say and how they could maybe work with the township in the future. And I kind of suggested, well, getting people, especially the younger generations, involved in local government is a huge thing, and they were kind of receptive to, maybe there's an elective course or something on zoning or taxation, something like that. So it was, I can't say we have a definitive plan, but they were receptive to something like that. The July 18th, we also did the Zoning Board of Appeals training with Douglas, Belvedere, and Maple Valley Townships. There were 4 of us, and it went really well, was really well received, and learned a lot of good things. Of course, we had our 3 ZBA members there, and so our share of the cost should be in the bill. That would be in the bill coming from the attorney. MTA training. Marcy and I attended that MTA. It was MTA, 1 course for me and 2 for her. We'll got that on our old business to talk about. August 9th, this is something new. So Jacob Begard, he is the executive director of the Montcalm Economic Alliance. He sent me an email talking about something they're doing called Montcalm County Developer Days. And basically it sounds like they pick a community and have a developer day. This is a half day with tours in and around the villages of Lakeview and Howard City, and a happy hour to follow. He says, we'd love to engage the township in highlighting what you have to offer, and he just kind of gives a little bit more detail in his email about what they do on that group. And Darren Dode, the village manager, is a member of their executive committee. But Jacob asked if I would meet with him and potentially talk about this developer day. Looks like it's scheduled for October 4th. So I am gonna meet with him and see if, how they'd like to involve Cato Township. He mentions maybe a reception or something. I don't know if, maybe this is an area for a happy hour. I'm not sure what he's got planned, but I wanted to let you guys know about that. August 10th, which is actually, 9th, this Thursday. This was kind of a last minute thing I signed up for. It's through the Michigan Township Participating Plan, which provides our insurance policy. And they have a 2023 fall of 2023 risk reduction grant. That's not what I want. That was wrong. Sorry, wrong thing. Anyhow, it's a training I'm going to on Thursday in Mount Pleasant to talk about risk management as far as insurance goes. So just want to let you guys know about that. And then, Ted, I don't know if you sent this to everybody, but Montcalm chapter of the Michigan Townships Association, Tuesday, August 15th, their meeting is going to be at the Pearson Township Hall. And Dave B. of West Michigan Regional Planning Commission and Jacob Begard of the executive Economic Alliance are the speakers. That is August 15th at 6 o'clock. And reservations are due this Thursday, the 10th, by 2 p.m. So now I think we've said that Dave B. at one point helped us with our master plan.
Yeah, well, he came and talked to that one in December.
Okay.
Well, he was the first one we talked about it, but then, sounded like to me, he didn't wanna do it, I mean, actually.
The cost is $15 per person. So if anyone is interested, you have to let Todd know, and you have to, I guess, let the chapter know. Legals, legal department, no other, issues that she's working on at the moment for us. But again, likely gonna need to call her with some of the ZBA stuff coming up. And then the thing I said I just got at the beginning, it was a letter addressed, to me from Spectrum Health. I open it up and it's, addressed to the, a manager from the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity in Lansing, Emily Griffith, Village President, Village of Lakeview, and Brandy Clark Hubbard, Cato Supervisor. It says, notice of Kelsey Hospital closing, WARN, W-A-R-N, notice. I'm ready to provide notice pursuant to the WARN Act, the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, that after years of declining patient volumes and challenges of caring for patients in an outdated facility, Kelsey Hospital will be closing. Kelsey Hospital is located at 418 Washington Avenue, Lakeview. At this time, we anticipate the closure date will be October 6th, 2023, and the closure is expected to be permanent. 108 team members at the hospital will be impacted. No impacted team member is represented by a union, and no impacted team member will have bumping rights. However, Corewell Health is committed to assisting all impacted team members to find other jobs within the Corewell Health system, and a team of human resources staff will be working closely with the impacted team members to assist them in locating other positions. For additional information concerning this matter, please contact Walt Hartline, Operations Specialist. So I guess I don't necessarily know, other than this is putting us on notice, if we have any. I mean, we obviously don't employ anyone, but have you ever run into this? Or I guess we'll just.
It's probably a boilerplate, but it's a requirement set in all
Okay.
municipalities.
Okay, well, we'll just put it on file.
It might be good to send that to the assessor so that they can assess the hospital not opening. I don't know,
Okay,
cause there are taxes involved with the hospital.
okay.
That'd be special assessments, I would think.
Yeah, the assessments,
Okay,
maybe the drain commission, I don't know if they got it. They're the ones that put the assessments on.
okay. And I can ask Darren too, you know, as obviously this went to Emily, the, village president as well, so, good point, yeah. Debbie probably has some stuff to look into with that, I think.
Probably just like a letter saying that they're closing, that, that they're not gonna, our taxes are gonna go down, whatever.
Okay,
They don't pay money taxes anyway, but other than assessments, so.
okay. We will get that done. Anything else? Roads, the paving was done on Vale, Collard, and Orchard. Wilcox, I don't know, if that's scheduled yet, but I'll follow up.
Yeah, they cut the sides of the road today.
Oh, they did?
And they cut our driveways.
Okay, okay, cutting meaning weeds?
No, they took the side out like 2
Okay.
foot and they cut the actual cement in the driveway.
Okay.
Just to get it out.
Okay, so there must be, I
They
can
gotta get
confirm, but
both, I mean,
there
they
were,
put the tubes in already, so
okay, so
they dished it all on the,
the tubes on Carroll.
yeah, it's on the end, there's one on Wilcox in front of Land's Shrine, so.
The only other thing with roads is, we've been getting a lot of people complaining about washouts on the dirt roads with all this rain. I might just talk to Mark, I'm sure it's probably kind of a common problem with all this rain that we've had, but
15 inches in July, so.
yeah, so, I'll touch base with him on that.
They were grading today, they graded our road,
Did they?
finally.
Okay.
I stood in one washout and over my knees.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
it's
both sides of the road.
bad in spots, yeah.
Came so fast.
Cemetery, we don't have an update, but I think, talk to Brian and, he may try to come to our next meeting and just, give just some updates on what's going on out there and just have a opportunity to ask him any questions about, you know, future planning for cemetery.
I had 3 taxpayers come in this year and comment how nice the cemetery is looking,
Excellent, excellent,
just to give feedback there.
Yep.
They've been really impressed with.
good to hear. Yep, I think he does a great job too. Trail, we're still waiting to hear back on the Spark application, so no, update there. And then I also wanted to let you guys know, I know this has kind of been an issue we've been tabling for a while, is, the, question that came up about, who we use for newspaper publishing, for our public notices. I did stop into the Lakeview News and, talked to Jake Kinsey, and I asked him about, they do have a website, and, he is going to check with who they use, for, managing their website, which is the Pioneer out of Big Rapids, to potentially look into having a posting board on their website. And he said to stop back in a couple weeks and see what he found, but I still think it's worth considering, you know, that obviously too, and just in general. We had the Daily News offer to, be our number one source for publishing public notices, but we've always used the Lakeview paper. I recognize that it's a hometown paper. I think we need to have a discussion on it, but the first step was, you know, why don't you guys publish that and, for the public notices for free on their website, and, they're checking into potentially doing that, so that's the update I got on that.
Pioneer doesn't even.
Okay, that's my report. Then we'll move into old business. So, bank account follow-up, any, update on getting the deputies and everybody added?
Everything is signed.
They're all, we
Okay.
have a complete set of copies that we received, I think, last week.
Oh, you do? Okay, that was gonna be my question. Is there like a resolution or something that they have which kind of tells who can do what? And, okay, I'd like to maybe get a copy of that just for my records too. So, good. Next item for discussion is follow-up on the security system. So you saw in the bills, statewide security has installed, our security hardware. And also, in an app on the supervisor's Township phone as far as being able to, view the cameras. So we have, you can see there's two in here. There's one out in the entrance looking down the hall, and then there's three outside. One that door, and then two, on the front door, one that watches that door and the other one. So a total of 6. And, what our next step would be is, he has to have a good, reliable desktop computer that he can download the software on, so that we can, be trained on how to extract, if needed, security footage and, but, kind of just from what I've heard, our computers are pretty outdated. I guess is that fair, of the 2 desktops that are in there? And even the laptops maybe to some degree, and he was a little hesitant to put it on a laptop. He said, if you have a nice centralized desktop computer. So, that is, something that he highly recommended, that we get a good, high-speed, reliable, secure computer. I asked him if there was any specs needed. He said, no, it's a modern-day Windows computer. And, I think it would be good to have in the office, a computer anyway that, you know,
Is this something maybe we could consider with ARPA funds, doing something like that, or?
yeah, I think it would be an excellent use, and maybe even bigger conversation, upgrading all the computers.
Right.
Because it sounds like it's time.
Well, I think if we're gonna invest in a new computer, it would be better to invest in 2 new computers, one for Todd, one for my desk, and use one of those for, I mean, we don't need 3 computers in there, do we?
Well, I guess it depends on who is able to access your computers. I mean, I'm sure you don't want just anybody to.
Well, my computer can be accessed because nobody can get into my tax program. That's completely separate, secured.
Okay,
So just to get onto the desktop, onto that, it wouldn't be an issue with my computer.
okay. And then Todd, you have QuickBooks on yours, which again has user credentials. I don't know, what's your thoughts on having, I almost feel like, I like your point about you buy more than one, you probably get a better deal. Is that kind of where you're going?
But I think what we need to know is what specs we would need in order to get a quote, to get proper computers.
Cause mine's gonna have to have more with the tax, it's gotta have specifics. But you have to go through BSNA to find out what specifics they have to have, but
Okay,
we could do that.
What I would suggest is nice laptop for us, he does the Village of Lakeview's computers, he used to do all the county computers. He was living here, but he's moved away.
Hmm.
Do you remember him out on 91 or 46? His name was Eric.
I don't remember his last name though.
I've got him on my phone, I think, but anyway, he probably will know what we need,
Mhm.
and he still does them, he can get the computers.
So he could actually quote, like,
I think he
tell
can
them what
quote
what we're looking for.
I think he could quote him, I think he could install whatever we need, because when it came to elections, he just got me the same thing as what county uses. I didn't have to tell him what I need, he already knew.
Okay, I guess the next question is, can we wait then till September, what is it, 10th, our next meeting? To get that computer, because I need to schedule a time with Dave Frost from Statewide Securities for him to come out. He said, once you have your computer set and online up and running, he can come back out, download the system, software, and then, show me how to use it. And, but we do, have another side to, before we can go live with our security system, is we need to establish a policy, as far as, what our main goals are with our system, who has access to it, who's authorized, how long are we gonna retain the records, what to do if there was ever a FOIA request, that type of thing. So there is a fair amount of legwork going into that policy. So, maybe it's not the end of the world if we wait till the next meeting to get that computer and hold off with Dave coming back out here, cause maybe there's some considerations too, that we'll wanna run by him.
So between now and then, get the information and bring it to the next meeting for the new system?
Yeah, I think so, and I guess we're gonna have to, go ahead, Dave.
We're thinking 2 computers or?
Well, to Joyce's point, we've got 2 desktops sitting there that maybe one of those could be utilized for the cameras, if some of the other software
But we
wasn't
both
needed.
need new computers,
I
they're
think,
so
I think we
slow.
need to, yeah.
I think we need 2 new.
Definitely 2 new ones, and then how is the other equipment?
Is
Copy
it-
machines, everything.
We just got a new copy
Yeah.
machine,
Did we? Okay.
a couple years ago.
Now, who else uses the computers, I guess, Phil might come in and might need to run something for the planning commission.
He might once in a great while.
I
But I think he
occasionally
usually
will,
gets help to do that.
I think he has access to the laptop.
Right.
I've used your laptop, I guess, for printing and mainly printing or posting on the website. So I guess that's the question, is it,
How about if I just give Eric a call once I find his number, and maybe he can give us some recommendations and specs,
okay,
or some ideas?
so we'll table computers at this point. I'd like to quote 2 or 3 and just see what the difference is, and maybe give some more thought to what that 3rd computer, because the other thing is, I guess our bigger conversation is our backups and risk of loss of data, I guess we need to think about that too, and maybe having a 3rd computer could maybe serve that purpose as well, always, restoring backups to that, so let's talk about
I'll
it,
see what I can
see
find.
what you can find out.
I did have the state contact me last year, for that specific reason. They have to know, how do you back up your database, where is it stored, is it, where's your backup stored? And they said what we're doing is exactly what they needed to hear, so.
Okay, what are we doing, I guess?
So like, I have my desktop that I collect my taxes on,
Okay,
I send it back up to the county.
Okay.
It's on the cloud, so it's off-site.
okay,
It's backed up down to this computer, so that I can answer questions outside of taxes.
okay,
I can also access the cloud on this computer. If if somebody has I need to get it to the cloud, if I have internet, I can access it on this computer as well.
okay,
And then we do have a flash drive that got all of the end of the year, every year, that goes back to 2004.
okay. How about from a QuickBooks standpoint, I guess,
I don't know, I would have to ask how we would extract what's already there and move it on to a new one.
okay.
But again, that's something Eric could probably take care of.
So Todd's gonna call Eric,
His phone.
and
McLaughlin, does that sound right?
Yeah.
but we definitely want a new computer for the security software, is what, I mean, and you talked to him too, Marcy, and he said you really wanna have a good,
Yes, he stressed that.
good computer. And then, yeah, as far as the, policy, I had a good talk with Catherine at the MTA on that, and, she said, first off, you need to talk to your, insurance provider's risk management attorney, just to, make sure there's no, concerns on their end. And also contact the township's attorney before you, as you're putting your policy together. And she sent me a couple examples, but, I mean, some of the stuff was, just establishing what our goals are for the, purpose and scope of having the system, to protect the safety and property of the township while respecting the privacy rights of staff and visitors, providing a deterrent to crime, assisting with overall security measures, and increased potential identification of those who breach policy or commit criminal acts. Some of the stuff I'm researching, I guess, is, so our number one goal of getting the security system was the video, to building protection and protecting citizens while they're here. But as a secondary piece of it, we also were able to get audio, which was not the case with every contract.
Right, the other two estimates I received, they don't do audio, so Dave Frost was the only one that did.
Yeah,
So,
and that was just kind of a good bonus, because we could have our meetings recorded. But I don't
Correct.
think the intent of audio was to record somebody's conversation when they're having a birthday party in here.
Right.
You know, I think we have to consider that privacy concerns, and Catherine noted it as well, that there's just more that you have to consider when you do have audio on there, especially if you have employees. So if we wanna keep it simple, she said, if you want the, kind of just keeping it straightforward, maybe you consider, the video obviously on all the time as normal, and, turning the audio on for our public meetings. And I
It
did.
sounds like we can set dates with Dave can program dates in there.
Yeah.
So the dates of our meetings, we can have audio, so
Yeah.
then it can record for our
And I talked to him about that too, and he can set it as a pro, I don't know if you can manually turn it on and off. Maybe you can, or you have to contact him, but he can program it so every Monday of the month, say, because our meetings are Monday, he can set it up from a time frame for the audio to kick in, and then he can show us how to extract that to be able to transcribe minutes, for one, is nice, and put it on our, website, which is what we wanted to, so, we can make that available to the public. So, I don't know, what's the board's thought on that? The impression I got from talking to Catherine, and again, we'll talk to our insurance provider and the attorney also, that there's just a lot more involved when you're dealing with the audio side of it as well. Not that it's but.
And you know, that's all part of the class that I took, was risk assessment and having a plan. They had said that our township, do we have a book that has all our plans in it for risk assessment by any chance?
I would say no.
Okay.
The risk assessment manager comes here once a year.
There.
And he gives us he comes with a bullet point list of things that he goes over every item.
Okay.
Like, where's your fire extinguishers, do your exit light signs work, things like that.
They really stressed at that class about even the maintenance schedule on our equipment. I know we don't have, like, for instance, parks with playground equipment. They want us as a township to have that. And they said we should do a maintenance schedule at least once a year, go over it. But yeah, they stressed some stuff that was real interesting, for risk management and, risk assessments plans, so.
Yeah, and we can talk more about that when we give you a recap. Go into that security plan, like, footage will be retained for X number of days. Logs will be maintained on, access and use of the data for 12 months. So stuff like that, I think we gotta work out in our plan. And then election day, on election day, it's gonna be turned off, it's gonna be covered up. So I think we fine tune this, talk to the people we need to talk to, but kind of get a plan together. And at that point, next meeting, we could get our computers in place and meet with Dave. Is everybody kind of good with that? So, and I read this today, which is kind of interesting, a possible grant opportunity. So this came from this is what I was reading earlier, so the 2023 risk reduction grant cycle is now open. So the Michigan Township Participating Plan, our insurance provider, risk reduction grant program offers funding for projects that prevent or mitigate damage to member-owned property and third-party liability losses or damages. Projects that have received grant funding in the past include body cameras, security lighting, and cameras. So a maximum award of $5,000 per member may be granted. Applications are due September 15th.
Yeah, we got that 2 years ago.
You did get it.
That's how we got the LED lights for the outside
Okay,
of the building.
so, you're familiar with that process?
Yeah, they were here a year ago and I took them to the cemetery trying to see if we could get that grant to upgrade some things out there. There was really nothing they could do for us.
Okay, well, maybe we can, whoever you know the process, obviously, but it's due September 15th, so maybe by our next meeting, we could have applied for it and see if we could get reimbursement for security system.
Very possible.
And that money can go to the cemetery.
Okay, MTA training report, so Marcy started to get into that, I think you have some things you wanna share as far as, we both attended the one on assessing and taxation, and then.
Right, and, we kinda, talked about maybe having a committee or a couple people get with our assessor and have a meeting with our assessor in regards to just kinda getting familiar with, you know, the things that she's doing for us, as well as things that we're gonna do for her. And one of the things I've run into, now that I'm taking care of property splits is, and I've already done, one in particular, everything that I sent her was everything she needed, and I think it was at that point that she was shocked that there was nothing more she needed, where she was used to with possibly Larry, that things weren't all there, and then, you know, then either Larry was calling her for something, or the citizen was calling, who was having it done. So I think it's a good idea if we sit down with our assessor and just kind of get familiarized with some of the things that we work with her and she works with us on.
Yeah.
I think it would make it a little easier, because I wanna offer to her, you know, to tell her what, I can do for her, ask her what, you know,
Yeah, you wanna,
what the process is on certain things. Just because with us being new to the board, I wanna make sure that, you know, everything is done smoothly, so.
you wanna have a good working
Yeah,
relationship.
good working relationship with her.
One of the things in that class I took away from is there's a new, they call it a PA 660 audit, it's replacing AMAR, is that what you called it, AMAR? And they had a checklist that you said they should be doing for an annual self-audit of that, so I kinda wanted to discuss that with the assessor. They talked about, asking, what's your process for exemptions, like following up, for instance, the hospital, like, or a church, you know, do they get a letter each year of, has anything changed with your, status? They just said that's good things for a board, all of us to know, about how the assessor reviews, approves, and denies, exemptions. Talked about, asking about what's your 5-year plan for the parcel reviews, you know, being up to date on that, which we're in catch-up mode right now, but going forward, are they, you know, what's the plan, what months are they being done, and what's the goal to have them, done by? Only other thing I had, was the board of review. They said it's a good idea to send them to training every year. I think we're doing every other year is what's required, but might not be a bad idea to offer that up if the members, you know, they have a big responsibility, and if they want training every year, I think we should offer it to them. So that was kind of the gist of the assessing and taxation. It was 4 hours, almost 4.5 hours. And then the other one, you went to, Marcy, and that was where you talked
Yep,
about the risk assessment.
Right, they really, on the risk assessment and, risk assessment plan in place, we should have that, and if we don't, we need to. They stressed how important it is to have that, and that all, you know, talks about what's our plan if we have an emergency, or war, or, weather, you know, I think stuff like we could have a generator, you know, installed here. Because what if something happens and we have individuals within our district that need to come and warm up? or get out of the heat.
Do we have a generator?
I think that would be a great thing to have done here. But they talked about different things like that, having a maintenance schedule, which I've already gone over. That's very important to have, because if we're not checking our equipment and maintaining it, that's a liability. Now, I know we don't have parks with swings and things like that, but, there's other things, they had, like cemetery, the trees in the cemetery, get them looked at and assessed. Just, they really focused on, think about things that you could be sued for, that the township could be in trouble for, and make sure you have a plan set for things like cybersecurity, very big, and that's why we talked about the new computers. That's big nowadays. A lot of compromising going on.
Confidential data.
Correct,
savings,
where are we
things like
backing it up, which I know, Joyce has got that backed up, but things like that, but you need to have that book there, and you need to have that plan there, and you need to go over it. You need to open it up to a meeting at least a year.
Once a year.
Yes, yeah. So things like that, and I thought it, great idea. I know they had, there was one person there that had said that they didn't do some of their fire equipment. They went on a call and it failed, and that was a big risk there. I mean, they fixed the situation, and then they went to, obviously every 6 months to do that, but, I don't wanna, we shouldn't get caught up with something that happens where we could fix it now. Prevent now, that's very important. So I think that's something that we should talk about and implement, get in place, and yeah.
So as far as an action item with that, maybe you could come up with an outline, a shell, and maybe bring it to
Sure.
one of the next meetings, and we as a board could kind of brainstorm of what could go wrong,
Right.
type thing.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be this huge book or nothing, but just things that we need to set in place for timing, and every 6 months, every year, things like that. So have it available, but there's things that we really need to think about when it comes to helping our citizens and protecting our district, especially if something comes up, because this day and age, it could.
No, those are all great comments. Does anybody else have any questions or anything about the conferences? I think maybe action item for the first thing is maybe you and I, since we're dealing with the assessor, Joyce, you guys have an established relationship. I don't know what your thoughts are as far as, what you deal with the assessor